So, Cardano. It's got to be one of the most talked about, most debated cryptos out there, right? In this explainer, we're going to dig into its long-term potential by looking at two very different possible futures, the super optimistic bull case and, well, the much more pessimistic bear case.
And this is the big question on everyone's mind. Is Cardano's super careful, scientific approach the secret sauce for long-term victory? Or is it just too slow for the crazy, fast-moving crypto world? We're going to get into the core arguments for both sides.
So to really get why people are all over the map with their price predictions, you first have to understand what makes Cardano tick. What makes it so different from the big players like Ethereum or Solana. And it really all comes down to how it was built, right from the very beginning.
And here's the thing. The key difference is that it's all built on peer-reviewed academic research. I mean, think about it. So many crypto projects had that move fast and break things vibe, right? Just get it out there. Cardano, totally the opposite. Its whole philosophy is about careful, deliberate precision. It's all about getting things perfect from the get-go.
This quote really nails it, doesn't it? The whole idea is that if you take this super rigorous academic approach, you're building a foundation that's just going to be more secure, more scalable, and way more reliable down the road. And you can actually see this thinking in action when you look at their official roadmap.
Okay, so check this out. The roadmap lays out this incredibly clear, long-term vision. It's all broken down step by step into 5 different eras of development. But, and this is a huge but, here's the catch. This super deliberate, methodical pace, it's the exact thing that gets its supporters so excited, and at the same time, it's what has the critics really, really worried.
All right, so with that background, let's dive into the sunny side of the street. Let's look at the optimistic vision for Cardano, what everyone in the space calls the bull case.
This right here, this is basically the two competing stories that are driving Cardano's price. You've got the bulls, who are betting that its scientific method is going to win in the end and create this superior platform. And then you have the bears. And they're worried it's moving so slowly that it'll end up as a ghost chain, a technically brilliant network that nobody's actually using.
Okay, so the bullish argument, it really stands on a few key pillars. First up is that rigor we talked about. The idea is that the peer-reviewed foundation just makes for a way more secure and reliable network. Simple as that. Second, sustainability. Its proof-of-stake system, it's called Ouroboros, is way, way more energy efficient than the old-school blockchains. And finally, the bulls will point to this slowly growing ecosystem of dApps and DeFi projects, and they believe this slow and steady growth is exactly what will pull in serious, long-term investors.
So, what does all that optimism translate to in terms of price? Well, in a really bullish scenario, we're talking Cardano's careful approach pays off big time and it grabs a huge chunk of the market. Some analysts are looking at a potential long-term price target of around $8, a huge jump from where it is today.
But you know how it goes. For every bull, there's a bear lurking around the corner. So now it's time for a little reality check. Let's look at the powerful counterargument that kind of pours some cold water on all that excitement.
For the bears, it's pretty simple. It all boils down to two things: speed and competition. Their argument is basically, hey, in the crypto world, being perfect but late is the same as losing. I mean, think about it. Ethereum has this massive head start, a huge network effect, and you've got these faster rivals popping up that are grabbing developers and users right now, not in some distant future when Cardano's roadmap is finally finished.
And that brings us to the other side of the coin, price-wise. If the bears are right, if Cardano just gets outpaced by its competition, well, a price target of 50 cents reflects that huge risk. That's the potential outcome if the network just can't get that critical mass of users and developers it needs to really take off.
Okay, so we've heard from the bulls, we've heard from the bears. The big question is, how do these two completely opposite forces shape a range of possible future prices? Let's break it down.
Okay, so when you put it all together, you can really see 3 different ways this could play out. And notice, it's not just a simple win or lose situation. There's this middle ground, a neutral scenario where Cardano doesn't take over the world but still carves out a significant niche for itself. That could lead to a price somewhere around $2.50. At the end of the day, which path it takes, bullish, neutral, or bearish, is going to depend entirely on which of these key drivers we've been talking about actually wins the day.
And looking at this chart, man, it really drives the point home, doesn't it? The gap between the absolute worst-case scenario at 50 cents and the best case at $8, it's just massive. It perfectly captures the whole high-risk, high-reward nature of this project. Let's be clear, this isn't some safe bet. It's a gamble on a very specific and, frankly, unproven vision for what a blockchain should be.
So,
We've looked at both sides of the argument. What's the one thing you should really walk away with? What does this whole debate really boil down to?
At the end of the day, trying to predict Cardano's future price isn't really about looking at charts and graphs. It's about deciding which development philosophy you believe in. You're essentially placing a bet on a fundamental trade-off. In this race to build the next generation of the internet, what's more important, moving fast or moving carefully with scientific rigor?
And that right there is the billion-dollar question, isn't it? In this wild race to build the future, will the slow and steady tortoise actually beat all the fast-moving hares? Only time will tell, and ultimately, the market will be the judge. Thanks so much for joining us for this breakdown.